You know when you're scrolling through social media and you see an ad for a product that looks, I don't know, kind of amazing, but the price just feels off, like way higher than you'd expect? Well, turns out there's a whole playbook behind that, and today we are going to pull back the curtain and break it all down. We're going to dive right into what I'm calling the $50 versus $20 paradox. It happens millions of times a day online, and it's the real reason a product can have two totally different prices, and why people, still choose the more expensive one.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? Why on earth would anyone pay more than double for something they could probably find with just a quick search on Amazon? Honestly, it seems completely illogical. But the answer reveals this incredibly powerful strategy that drives a huge chunk of online shopping.
Okay, so let's make this super concrete. Check this out. On the left, you've got this slick, kind of urgent-looking social media ad for a GLP patch. It's $49.99, but hey, it's a buy one, get one free deal. Then, over on the right, you have a super basic, no-frills Amazon listing for what looks like the exact same thing for just $20. This right here is the mystery we're solving.
Here's the secret. The answer has almost nothing to do with the price or with logic or even really with the product itself. No, it all comes down to psychology.
And this is the world of dropshipping. But let's forget the logistics for a second and define it by its strategy. A dropshipper isn't trying to beat Amazon on price. They can't. It's impossible. Instead, they're competing on a totally different battlefield. Pure emotion, perfect timing, and some very clever branding.
So this is absolutely crucial to understand. There are two completely different types of shoppers. When you go to Amazon, you have intent. You're already looking for something, right? You're a hunter, you're comparing prices and reviews. But when you're just mindlessly scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, you're driven by impulse. An ad just stops your scroll, it tells you a story, and you react emotionally, not rationally. Two different brains.
So how do they do it? They literally manufacture that impulse by creating perceived value out of thin air. They're not just selling you a patch. They're selling you a lifestyle, something like spiritual protection, or they're creating a movement, asking you to support our vets. They build authority by calling it a doctor-recommended breakthrough. And my favorite, they frame it as exclusive. This is something special you can't get on Amazon.
And really, this one idea sums up the entire strategy. At the end of the day, the customer isn't buying the patch. They're buying hope. They're buying the promise of a change, of a transformation. And that feeling? Well, that feeling is often worth way more than that $30 price difference.
So how do they actually capture that emotional spark and turn it into a cold, hard sale? Well, they use this well-oiled machine called a sales funnel.
The whole point of this journey they take you on is to build up so much emotional momentum that you just don't stop to think logically. The entire thing is designed to keep you excited and, frankly, to hide the true cost until you're already at the finish line, credit card in hand.
And it's usually a four-step machine. First, you've got the hook, that viral ad that looks like a real person just made it on their phone. Then comes the pre-sell. This is often a fake blog or a newsy-looking article that builds authority. Third is the offer, a super premium-looking website to make that high price feel justified. And finally, the upsell. They hit you with countdown timers and special bundle deals at checkout to create urgency and squeeze out just a little more money.
But behind this slick marketing machine is a very harsh financial reality. This is almost never a sustainable, get-rich-quick kind of business. Not even close. Here's the number that sinks most of these businesses. $35. That's the average customer acquisition cost. We call it CAC. It's what a seller has to pay in ads just to get one single person to click that buy button.
All right, so let's do the math. The sale is about $50. The two patches from the supplier might cost you, say, $10. But then you have to subtract that massive $35 ad spend. So what's the net profit on that $50 sale? Maybe $5? The margins are just razor thin.
And that right there is why this is so often a churn and burn model. You might launch and go viral for a couple of weeks, but pretty soon your ad costs just skyrocket. Then the competitors swoop in and copy your every move, and eventually your ad account gets banned for making all those aggressive claims. It's a hustle with a very short lifespan.
So if that short-term hustle is one path, What's the alternative? Well, it's about making a really important shift from a hustle to building a real, sustainable brand. And the difference starts with the messaging. It's night and day. The hustle makes these huge, often unprovable claims like lose 15 pounds in 30 days. A brand, on the other hand, focuses on something sustainable and safe, like support your daily wellness habits. You know, one gets you banned, the other builds actual trust.
Their goals are just fundamentally different. A hustle just wants that one-time transaction, get the money and run. But a real brand is playing the long game. It wants to build a customer relationship, creating recurring revenue through things like subscriptions and building a real community.
And this one, oh man, this is a huge one for us, the customers. The experience. The hustle relies on that super slow drop shipping from China, which can take, 10 to 20 days? It's awful. A brand invests in fast, US-based fulfillment. They use something called a third-party logistics provider, or a 3PL, to get that product to your door in just a few days.
So the brand builder's playbook is basically the complete opposite of the hustle. It's all about creating long-term value. They use those 3PLs for fast shipping, they add personal touches like little branded inserts and thank you notes, they focus on subscriptions, they build a community, and they use safe lifestyle marketing. It's a totally different game.
So there you have it. You've seen the whole playbook, from the psychological hooks and the sales funnels, all the way to the razor-thin margins and the huge difference between a fleeting hustle and a lasting brand. So the next time you're scrolling and an ad catches your eye, will you ever look at it the same way again? I'm going to guess probably not.